This weekend, the East Carolina Pirates and North Carolina Tar Heels will square off Friday in Chapel Hill at 4 o'clock at Botchamer Stadium, Saturday at 2 at Segra Stadium in Fayetteville at the Woodpeckers Ballpark, and on Sunday, a 2 o'clock first pitch at Clark LeClaire Stadium. And right now, to preview that traveling series, very excited to welcome back to the show the fourth-year head coach of the North Carolina Tar Heels, and that is, of course, Scott Forbes. Coach Forbes, we appreciate your time.
Glad to be on it. Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir. So as I mentioned, your fourth year there as the head coach in Chapel Hill, but a program that you've been a part of for, I guess, more than a couple decades now. So before we dive into the 2024 version of the Tar Heels, give us a general overview of your program and where you see things.
Yeah, I've been blessed. It's a humbling opportunity that I was given 3 years ago in my fourth year now. I grew up in Sanford, North Carolina, 30 miles from here. All my family's still in Sanford. I'm born and bred in this state. I actually grew up in an NC State family, so I didn't come over to Chapel Hill much growing up, but I've been here a long time now and couldn't be more of a Tar Heel. But I just appreciate the state, the baseball in this state. But I feel great about our program. We've been fortunate to go to Omaha. I've been a part of that 7 times, and people don't understand how hard it is to get there, but it's extremely hard to get to Omaha. But we have always taken a lot of pride in, sustained success, and we feel like here at University of North Carolina, we're always going to have a chance. It's just a matter of whether or not we can get it done, and our league is extremely tough, and our state is extremely tough. But it's an honor, a privilege to be coaching here. Proud to be coaching here and proud of our program for sure.
You talk about the state being extremely tough. Obviously, North Carolina, you referenced those 7 trips to Omaha. East Carolina, yet to reach Omaha, but the Pirates have been consistently in super regionals in recent years. And I know Cliff Godwin has been very complimentary of you, when it comes to playing this traveling series. And he said as long as you're at your respective institutions, that this will continue to take place. So if you would talk about this unique series, it's something that Clemson and South Carolina have done for years, and the Pirates and Tar Heels, I believe this will be the 4th time and 3rd consecutive year, 2018, then 2022 through present.
Yeah, when I was growing up, we didn't have all the travel ball, but we had the Greater Raleigh Fall League, and most of us were going. I wasn't fortunate enough to. I ended up going to junior college route, but a lot of my buddies were going to East Carolina, NC State, or North Carolina. So that's kind of when I really started paying attention to college baseball in the area and realizing how good it was. The tradition at all the schools, it's really, really good baseball. And Cliff and I, we go way back. We're both born and bred in this state. I remember Cliff as a player. I always respected how hard he played when he was a player. Have always respected how he's gotten after it as a coach and the success he's had. So when I became the head coach here, we played before I became the head coach, I believe in 2018. We talked about it and we just made the agreement like, hey, this will be awesome for both clubs, 2 teams that are, 2 of the nation's best. So it'll be a good test for both of us early, and the fans are going to love it. Our guys need to play in front of big crowds. So I think, it's a great thing. It's an awesome thing, and I'm excited for it, and hopefully it will continue as long as we're both at the 2 schools.
Yeah, it should be quite the atmosphere at Botchamer on Friday, and then at Segra Saturday and Clark LeClaire on Sunday. Each of those games will likely have 5,000 plus in attendance, well over 15,000 for the series. And honing in on this year's ball club, definitely a lot of familiar names. You're currently ranked 15th, off to a 4-0 start. You swept Wagner in very convincing fashion on opening weekend, and then last night you won a thriller against the Elon Phoenix. So just taking a look at your team, one of those very specific and standout names is Vance Honeycutt, someone who's from my part of the state, as I am in the greater Charlotte area, and I know he was from Salisbury High School. Tell us about him and the start he's off to, hitting 3 home runs.
Yeah, it's an awesome group. This is the type of group you have to know what type of group you have as a coach. This is truly a group that is on a mission, and my job is just to get them ready to play the games and then get out of the way and let them play during the games. Vance is older, one of the most talented, if not the most talented player, top to bottom, defense, offense, speed on the bases, power at the plate that I've ever coached. And he's also a phenomenal kid. So I'm just enjoying being around him. Most likely it's his last year playing for us at North Carolina. But it's a fun group. We're older positionally. We're younger on the mound, but there's a boatload of talent on the mound. And the only way to get their feet wedged to throw them in the fire, we started 3 out of 4 freshmen in these first 4 games on the mound, and we'll start 2 this weekend against East Carolina. So that'll be a big time test for them. But it's a good mix of returning players, a really strong recruiting class, and some really good transfers.
You referenced those returning players and how you do have a lot of experience back. Definitely looking up and down this roster, so many familiar names. In addition to Vance Honeycutt, talk about some of those leaders that you rely on and that are off to a solid start here in 2024.
Yeah, Casey Cook really stands out. He had to redshirt his freshman year. He had a shoulder injury, so he's a redshirt sophomore, but he's one of the better hitters that I've coached, pure hitters, left-handed hitter. He's stronger, he's more physical. He can now play left, right, and second base, so it gives us some options. And we returned some guys that have played every day, but we also brought in some transfers that have played every day at their respective schools. Parks Harbor from Georgia, had 16 or 18 home runs at Georgia last year with 60-plus RBIs. And Anthony D'Onofrio was an All-American at Quinnipiac. They've settled right in. Got a transfer from a Division III school. It's a shortstop, Alex Madera. Some freshmen that have really impacted us already, and Gavin Gallagher and Luke Stevenson. So it's a good group. We've got some depth off the bench where we can match up, hopefully, with teams. And we've got some speed throughout the lineup. And we do return some pitchers that decided to come back, which is really cool in today's age, for one more year instead of signing professionally and hopefully leave with their degrees. And then we brought in these freshman arms. So it's going to take a little while to figure out the pieces of the puzzle, but that's why you play great teams like East Carolina, because you learn way more about yourself in a series like this for sure.
Shifting over to those arms, unfortunately, here just a couple weeks prior to the season, you received the news that Jake Knapp, slated to be your Friday night starter, if I'm not mistaken, that that he would be unavailable this year. So take us through that rotation, what those guys pitched like on opening weekend, and what it looks like moving forward into week 2.
Yeah, that was a blow, obviously. More of a blow for Jake just because he's that type of kid, self-made player, in-state kid that went to Wilmington, wasn't good enough, left, went to a junior college, got better, kept getting better, and then had really established himself as one of the better pitchers towards the end of the year last year in the ACC, just a horse. But he's one of our captains. First time we've named captains here. I've named captains, him and Jackson Vanderbrake. So he's with us every step of the way, and we'll have him back next year here. But because of that injury, you lose a guy that potentially is going to throw 100-plus innings. You're not going to just make up those innings with one guy. You got to collectively make them up, and everybody has to raise their game. But these freshmen are talented, so we're going Folger Boaz on Friday. He pitched really well. His first outing went 5 innings. He's pretty advanced for a freshman. Excited to watch him in this big atmosphere. We're going Ben Peterson, a senior, on game 2. He's transitioned from the bullpen last year to starting, and he didn't go. Him and Olin we had to take out because their pitch count got up pretty good in that 3rd inning, I believe. But they also set for like 40 minutes because we had a long offensive half, which is a good thing. So we have to do a better job as coaches helping them learn how to, when you sit that long, go back out there and be just as effective. So we'll see. And then we started DeCaro, a kid that's only 17 years old that graduated a year early that threw really good against Elon, held his velocity, was still throwing 94 in the 4th. So it's a fun group. I think they're going to keep getting better, and I can see the rotation changing a little bit as the season moves along, but we'll see how that goes.
Taking a look at your bullpen, definitely recognize a lot of these names. Dalton Pence, Matthew Mateus, a Greenville native, Bovair. Tell us about some of those arms that you're going to rely on out of your bullpen.
Yeah, we decided, to go with our experience out of the bullpen. Dalton Pence could be a weekend starter as well, but he's our closer right now. Matt Poston can also close, but he pitched really good for us last year. He was really good last night. So those two guys are our big arm, big two out of the bullpen, and they're complemented by Matty Mathias, who's really improved, pitched for us a ton last year, had to pitch in tight situations. His velocity's better. He's in better shape. Connor Bovair's gone back from the rotation back to the bullpen. He's just an older, experienced guy with 3 pitches. We have a transfer in Aiden Houck, who has looked pretty dang good. He's got plus stuff. And we got some other guys that we can match up with, and Kyle Percival, Cam Pageant, and some others. So we feel like we have some depth, and we're really trying to get to Matt Poston and Dalton Pence late in the game. So if we can find those 7 innings from other guys, we prefer to go to those 2 guys in innings 8 and 9. But we can also go to them a little earlier if we need to.
Final question for you today, Coach, and that is, as you look at the college baseball game as a whole, and obviously so many changes taking place in college athletics with conference affiliation, NIL, transfer portal, how have you seen that impact your game and in just the college baseball game in general? I know Coach Godwin was referencing that impact recently, and as far as NIL and so forth.
Yeah, it is what it is, and you have to recognize that it's here, and it doesn't look like it's going away. So, I was fortunately brought up in a household that wasn't allowed to be negative, and you got to be positive, and you have to attack it and find a way to maybe make it help your program. And the way I look at it from the NIL standpoint is we've been behind anyway with 11.7. It's a bunch of baloney that our guys are having to pay money in a sport that is as big as college baseball. We should have 25 scholarships. So maybe through NIL, we can supplement that. Obviously, it's changed too with the transfer portal because you can get a guy here or there. We do take a lot of pride in our guys getting better that are here. And I feel like the ones that for the most part stick it out and stay at North Carolina, they find a way eventually to get on the field. And Cliff's done a great job with that as well. The reason he's been so good at East Carolina is because his players get better. In college baseball, you still have to have development within your program, but those 2 things are part of it. And, you have to try to take advantage of it when you can and supplement the team with some, maybe some impact transfers. But the NIL is just added more on our plate. And I do feel like as head coaches, we become somewhat, fundraisers as well. It's just kind of part of it.
And I lied, Coach. And I do have one more topic I wanted to bring up this morning, and this is something that's far bigger than baseball. Last weekend, Parker Bird, completed that comeback a year and a half, or just over a year and a half after a very terrible boating accident. So, what were your thoughts on that? Because I know Coach Godwin said that you exchanged a few text messages or a phone call, and that topic came up.
Yeah, goodness gracious, I remember like it was yesterday when it happened. We've been fortunate. We have a little. We're at Topsail Beach quite a bit, me and my family, and there are a lot of pirates down there, so you get to know all kinds of people, and just super, super nice people. When that happened, that we all were talking about it, and because you're at the beach and you're on boats pretty often, but just to know the fact that he got that at bat, and to know that the resiliency someone like that has, it's unbelievable. It gives me chill bumps, it puts tears in your eyes. And, in my belief system, you pray like crazy, and you wonder sometimes why in the heck do things happen, but that God has a plan. And him doing that is such a representation of pure, just joy watching him be able to walk up to the plate and know that, hey, you know what? It was a tough battle, and I'm going to keep battling, but I'm going to use what I have, and I'm going to make the most of every day. But man, unbelievable. I saw that, and I just kept watching it over and over and over. And I sent it to my 2 daughters, and they said the same thing. Like, just that is what it's about. That's the reason you coach. And that's what makes coaching so fulfilling. You get to be a part of experiences like that.
Well said, tremendous words there, and you summed it up well. I know Coach Godwin said that Jimmy Paler, who's behind the plate that night, said this, all the games he's called, that it was probably the the most he's had to, to try to stay composed and just keep his focus on where it needed to be. He said it was just tremendous.
Yeah, well, we all, there are times where we need to have perspective, and when someone like Parker is able to represent that perspective and be like, hey man, like, don't feel sorry for yourself, keep going, put one foot in front of the other, literally, and keep working. Gosh darn, that's the neatest thing to me. And Cliff and I did text about it, and I just said that's one of the coolest things I've seen, since I've been around. And I just told Cliff how much I appreciate. I mean, obviously it's easy to do when you're in that situation, but I know that was a tough deal to go through.
Really was, and the response by the national media has been excellent, and I know the Bird family obviously just so elated to see Parker back to where he is and where he's going to get to and making the impact he's making, not only on the Pirate baseball program, but more importantly, the impact he's making on everyone he's speaking to with various speaking engagements and so forth, telling his story. But genuinely appreciate your time this morning, Coach, and we look forward to having you back on the show down the road.
Thanks a ton.